So here we go. We are just going to be jumping into this Starcraft 2 replay. My name is Mr. Bad Example, and together with me I have my beautiful co-caster, Lucas Tenchi-Collard. Lucas,
what up?
Hi there.
Hey, Mr. Bad Example.
Just jumping into a Protoss versus Protoss here.
Yes,
Gonna be
that
watching
is this.
Starcraft 2.
So this is a community cast, I'd say. Just doing a guy a favor, yeah. And
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, it's gonna be like you said, PvP. Map is Waystation. It's a pretty long map, as you can see. So how about we go ahead and introduce our players? So I'll just take it away now. So spawning in the bottom left corner of Waystation, wearing the color red, he is Team Glamo's Weilin.
And up here in the top right corner, it is the blue Protoss player Warhead. I'm not too, I don't have too much information on any of these players, but I know they are hovering around the Gold League about now, but don't disregard their skills because of that, because the Gold League or the lower leagues has been becoming very much more competitive in the last few seasons, I'd have to say.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were covering University Star League now a couple of weeks back, and like seeing in that tournament we had some pretty solid players coming out from players. Yeah,
absolutely. We were watching the like the Bronze to Silver League, and I was just expecting trollolol, no one's gonna know what they are doing at all. But they actually played quite well and had well thought out builds.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of well thought out builds, though, no gases so far for Weilin, while we do have the double gas so far for Warhead. Do you reckon that Weilin will stay gasless, or is this just a mistake in the opening?
I think it's a bit of a mistake. I mean, Warhead running for this stuff. Oh, actually, Warhead has actually blocked his left-hand gas there, so the probes will have to take the long way around to get.
Oh.
So that's a bit of a mistake, I think. I think it can get through. But yeah, cutting this gas now, the red Protoss Weilin, I think this is definitely going to come back to bite him, because I mean now he's finally taking it on 17 supply at this first gas. It's fairly late, I mean, in comparison to his opponents. Even his gateway not even done, and Warhead can just go ahead and start his robo. No, I mean cybernetics core right away.
Yeah, Warhead is, I mean, quite far ahead in the build so far, a bit behind the drone count or the probe count, but otherwise ahead in every aspect of the game. Got his solid title ready. I'm not sure if he wants to go aggressive with that, but yep.
Oh, need to be careful with that probe.
Yeah, but the probe got in, spotted one of the gases at least, so he knows somewhat of what's going on. And here is the second gateway for Warhead, so I reckon we're just going to see a quick 3 Stalkers, and then from there you can really go into anything, like anything from a 4-gate to a Stargate to a Robo or just Nexus. So yeah, very, very diverse build. Yeah,
it's very flexible, like, because you don't commit so heavily down any sort of tech path. You can easily defend as well with this. Going for the 3 Stalker build is a really, really good counter to, you know, Stargate. It holds off, you know, Zealot Stalker pressure and stuff like that. It's just a very sort of safe build. I think the only drawback is that it delays any other tech that you get, like slightly, by maybe 25 seconds.
Yeah, it's definitely the safer variation, but if this is a game from the ladder, which I think it is, I'm perfectly fine with Word going for something like that when you don't really know your opponent, don't know what he's going to be doing. Going for the safer variation, but just still leading up to the same thing is a fine choice here, gonna get out his Mothership Core. No aggression so far with his stock or his Mothership Core, though, choosing to stay very defensive and goes for the Robo facility before Stalker number 2 and 3, so yeah, probably gonna be just getting out an Observer and then perhaps going for an Immortal Push.
Yeah, but that's he could expand as well.
Scouting. Yeah.
You know, Weilin getting 3 gateways, no tech. So what do you think about this? Just like he got the Mothership Core is coming now, but still only gateways.
Yeah, really quick 3 gateways actually. I mean, he's gonna be able to get in at least 1 round of units from these 3 gates before cybernetics or before the warp gate completes. So probably gonna be in a good spot here. Another thing that I just was thinking about here with the robotics facility is that this is an island map, and the only way to get to the island maps is with warp prisms. Is it possible that we're gonna see some shenanigans here from Warhead?
Oh, that would be pretty sick. You know, like not expanding to the natural, but taking the island base as your second base.
That would be pretty baller.
Man mode.
Pretty man mode. Speaking of man mode, look at this Zealot just walking into Weilin's base. Does not fear fire from 2 Stalkers, 2 Zealots, and a Mothership Core, but is able to scout everything that's going on and might even get a probe.
No. But I mean, that was pretty good, you know, getting a full scout. And only paying with the Zealot. But now he's adding double forge. I think this is interesting. On double gas, on only 2 gas to support a robotics facility and 3 gateway production, and double forge. I think this is a bit of a misstep here from our blue Protoss. I mean, if the game becomes really long and passive and draws out into the mid game, and he gets these early upgrades, then he could probably make some value out of those. But right now, I don't feel that is the right decision.
No, I mean, it's going to be hard to afford continuous production out of all these production facilities, especially when you're only on 23 probes so far. So Warhead is actually behind in probes by 7 as of this moment, but that's +1/+1 on the way, as you said. So if that completes, if he's able to get out some Immortals, this is going to become really, really scary quite quickly. But Weilin has a bit of a timing window here as the resources is invested to these upgrades. He has 3 gates and a robot churning out Immortals, so the aggression potential is definitely there for Weilin, but as I said, he throws down his Nexus.
Yeah, so I think he's just going to sit back with these units. I mean, got these 3 Stalkers, 3 Zealots, and yeah, Immortal. He's just hanging outside of his Nexus. He did go and set up a proxy pylon here, closer to his opponent's base, but, probably not going to do too much with that, I feel. And this is definitely what Warhead needs, like he needs time to just make sure these upgrades kick in and get full value out of those, and I think he's absolutely going to get that.
And with his Mothership Core banking up a lot of energy, as well as getting out 1 Sentry and an Immortal, he is quite an all-round safe style here. If Stargate units would be coming, like an Oracle or a Void Ray push or Phoenix even, he would be in a quite bad spot, but he did scout out Weilin's base. He saw the robotics facility, he saw the gates, so he knows he's going to be safe with this Immortal, with the Photon Overcharge and with the Force Fields, and as he whoops in additional Stalkers and produces additional Immortals, he is just going to be sitting safe in his base. But Weilin is actually marching ahead in supply right here, 7 probes ahead. Does this really matter?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's huge in a mirror matchup. You're a Terran, and I know you have like a lot of experience casting TVT, and you've been covering pretty much everything. And then like in all of the other mirror matchups as well, we see it's evident that whoever has like a work advantage, they really pull ahead quickly in terms of resources. Like it's really noticeable in the mirror matchup specifically.
Yeah, that is definitely true. However, both players next side are going to be finishing at about the same time. Weilin just queuing away at 5 probes there, and yes, some scouting going on here with the hallucinated Phoenixes as well as the Observers. So Warhead is going for both of those scouting measures and is able to scout out the timing of the Nexus and the production facilities. And +1/+1 finishes as the Twilight Council just wraps up. So let's see if he wants to go for +2/+2 immediately after this. But there is actually the War Prism that I mentioned beforehand. I hope we're going to see some island action.
Oh yeah, absolutely. 3rd base island. You know what would be really sick? Like, you hide Stargates on the island close to your opponent's base. You like, take a War Prism all the way around, and then you like, with a probe in, build a double Stargate or something.
Or like a D2 Shrine.
Oh yeah, just like, hide anything on these islands would be so sick.
I mean, it's not going to be scouted.
No. No one's going to, like, pull a hallucinated Phoenix or an Observer, like, to their own island.
Definitely not. And yeah, Weilin has the upgrades going quite quickly for himself. What he doesn't know, though, is that he's quite far behind Warhead on that department. However, a second robotics facility here. Weilin is just skyrocketing in supply, going up to 90 supply 12 minutes in. Well, Warhead is not sitting that strong in supply, but of course we know it's mainly because his resources are invested into these forges and into a quick Templar archives as well. So quick Archons, do they really benefit that much from the upgrades?
At least the attack one. Armor, not huge, but definitely the attack. I think that the composition Warhead is looking to go for is going to be Immortal, Charge Zealot, and Archons. It's very, very powerful and absolutely demolishes the old metagame, Colossus style that was so prominent in Wings of Liberty. But now he does have this War Prism out, just like you mentioned, and I mean, he could go for Immortal drops, he could go for a lot of things. With
and a lot of interesting action here going on for Warhead, because look at the island. It is, I did not watch this replay beforehand, I was just talking casually beforehand, but this is, as you can see, a Nexus, the 3rd base going up onto the island for Warhead, so yeah, we got what we wanted.
Yeah, I like this. It's, I absolutely, yeah, it is. And I mean, like, as a Terran, you could, build get a sneaky CC in and just float it over there. Should definitely do some Terran on this map, I feel.
It's quite interesting to watch Zerg versus Zerg on this map, because like Mura shouldn't really be that good on this map, but just because of the island bases, The one that gets the muted control can shut down your opponent's overlords and can thus take the islands freely. So muters are actually really good in this map in Sug vs Sug just because of the islands.
Didn't know that. The more you know.
The more you know.
Yeah, well, anyway, Warhead is going absolutely bananas here with upgrades. 2-2, almost finished. Blink, almost finished. Storm, interestingly enough, and double Stargate. So he's going to be making a full tech transition. His third base is finishing up right now, so he's adding those additional gases, going up to 6, while his opponent is taking a third base of his own. But I mean, look at the supply difference. 121 to 71.
Yeah, I mean, it is, of course, a lot more supply. 74 is supplied to 37 in favor of Weilin, but the amount of tech here for Warhead is just so far ahead. I'm not really looking at a guy that looks at the spendings tab a lot, but if we just take a look there, we can just see the difference between the players. 1,600 resources spent on technology for Weilin, but almost 3,000, so almost double for Warhead. When it comes to the army department, we have almost double the spendings for Weilin, with 10 immortals. Is this some sort of record?
Wow. Oh, damn. I didn't actually pay attention to that. 10 immortals to 2. He can actually go with just only the immortals and crush this army of his opponent.
Yeah,
he can actually just do that.
Now that the Voiders are just finishing up for Warhead, he will not be able to, of course, but yeah, if you would have went with it a little earlier, these immortals are just quite scary. One more upgrades as well. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, +3 ground weapons on the way here for Warhead. He's just been working really hard on these upgrades, and finally he's deciding to add a couple more probes. Chronoboost spending is a little bit better here for the Red Protoss, I feel, by the way.
Yeah, slightly better.
I think that Warhead has focused mainly on chrono boosting these forges, but he's not now, sadly.
Yeah.
He's actually got full chrono on two of these next side at least. But he needs to be making units. I mean, the supply. Weilin is just getting closer and closer to that max, and Warhead is just sitting back now, reaching the 100 mark.
Yeah, but I mean, just look at the amount of tech here. We have Immortal, High Templar, Archon, Void Ray with a lot of upgrades. It's going to be a really supply efficient army, but yeah, as you said, it's going to be a bit hard when you're at half your opponent's army supply.
Yeah.
This Psionic Storm is a really interesting choice to me. What units in the Protoss army are Psionic Storm really going to be efficient against?
Zealots. Yeah, Zealots are like sentries, you know, soft units. Zealot is pretty tanky, but because Storm just negates all upgrades, it can definitely help, you know, if your opponent stands and eats all of that damage. But I mean, any sort of as long as you're just paying attention, you should be able to march out of those. Storm doesn't really do damage to Immortals, I think. You know, it does 20 damage per tick.
Yeah.
I actually don't know how Storm affects the Immortal Shields.
Would Storm be good versus air units, like Void Rays, or...?
Yeah, it's absolutely good versus like Mass Void Ray, you know, because they stack.
Yeah.
High Temper are great versus Phoenix to just feedback. But, all of these Immortals, a total of 14 Immortals here.
Wow.
For our Red Protoss.
Speaking of Void Rays, though, the four first Void Rays from Warhead are moving out towards the third base of Weilin. I think Weilin actually spotted this with an observer, but it does not seem to react so far. But Warhead has been spotting out this third base, so this is probably going to be the next side going down just because of the power of the prismatic alignment. But it's actually targeting probes right here. But I think we're going to see an engagement in the middle as both armies are moving out. Will this be the base race?
They actually passed each other. Is there any mothership core with any of the armies? The mothership core is with the Red Protoss army now. Okay, this is ridiculous because all of these units, the Immortals are just going to be able to crush this base in seconds. Photon overcharge does go down, but Weilin just sends up a bunch of zealots into the main. Really smart there, cutting off some units. And now look at how quickly this Nexus is going to fall, Mr. Bad Example.
Wow, these Immortals doing 60 damage per shot against armor units, which is of course these buildings. But the Dark Shrine is completed if no GTs are opted in, because cloaked units are extremely good when it comes to the base rate, because of course you can't see them, so that would be extremely beneficial if that Dark Shrine would have been completing, but it's not. +1 air attack is just shy of being complete. I don't think it's going to finish. No, it is not. So Weilin doing a lot of damage to the base, but Void is also doing a bunch of damage here as these Voiders are just melting through buildings almost as quick as those Immortals.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I think the advantage is actually going to go to our Red Protoss. Oh, Storm on those probes, that's brutal. But yeah, he does have the island base, and if he kills all the tech, you know, like the robo and stuff, then his opponent can't actually get to him.
Yeah, he has the island bases and he has the air advantage, so that definitely goes for him, as well as the fact that he's taking another base here on the mainland. I don't think Weilin Did he get out with any probes whatsoever, or are all his probes in the main base? I think all of them are in the main base, actually, so this might be a scary situation, but here I think we're going to see the first engagement of the game. The Stalkers are focusing down the Voiders. Great storms go down on the Stalkers, but here comes the flank from Weilin. Those Immortals are just shy of coming into contact with this army. Good force fields comes down from Warhead. He's pulling away with this army, but here comes the Immortals from Weilin.
Ooh, pretty. Okay, the storm does actually do decent damage to that. Nice force field.
Wow.
He needs to keep force fielding that now and just keep the army out, because otherwise, if he engages with that, his army is just going to get completely annihilated.
Well, he has to finish these buildings as quick as humanly possible, or Protossly possible, I guess. This is, I mean, he's definitely in a clock right here, but it looks like this army is going to be cleaned up here from Weilin, who's lost almost all the Santier, but these Immortals are just standing strong, and all the Voiders has went down. Warhead is trying to snipe those last couple of pylons, but this is going to be the entire army going down. However, as you stated, the island base is his, as well as 2 more bases on towards the mainland. So I think Warhead is still in a good position technologically. We do still have probes from Weilin, though, as well as a bunch of minerals. He's going to be able to retake some bases. Void Ray production continues from Warhead, as it is the only tech structure he has left.
Yeah, he definitely needs to make additional probes right now. He's down to only 8, and his opponent has 11. But I mean, Weilin was better at making probes this entire game. But yeah, he's going to be dragging these all across the map to kill these final buildings. I don't think he actually knows about these expos, the new ones. He's actually going to be expanding right to the one where Warhead has his first one there on the mainland. That's going to be a bit funny when he finds out about that. But yeah, now what can Warhead do in this position? I mean, if Weilin takes to air, then it's pretty much over, isn't it?
But Weilin is going to be so slow at reaching new tiers of tech, especially he's actually bringing the probes with his main army right here. He has enough minerals to rebuild a Nexus. I'm not sure if he wants to do so in Warhead's old bases, or what is the point of bringing these probes actually, because right now Weilin is not mining. He just warped in 4 more Stalkers, so that just leaves him with enough minerals for one additional Nexus. So I'm not sure about this decision from Weilin. He is going to be cleaning up the last bits of Warhead's bases though. 2 observers in the main army for Weilin. I would have loved to see those being spread out and watched for additional bases. But speaking of looking for additional bases, these 4 Stalkers are going to be finding out these 2 bases to the bottom.
Yeah, so that's 1 dead Nexus, and that's going to be bringing Warhead down to just that island base pretty much. He has a couple of probes mining and this other one to the right, but yeah, just as you said, these Stalkers are probably going to find it. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. And I mean, right now, as Weilin, you have to be a bit like, okay, so he's not being revealed yet, so once I kill this Nexus, where has he got his other buildings? Because I mean, Warhead is slowly starting to take up. He's adding now another Cyber, and interestingly enough a Forge. I don't think he needs that, you know, he's on an island base. Cannons aren't going to help him that much if a big drop comes in anyway. There we go, Stargate.
I think his only choice here is just to go for the air once more.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, +1 air attack did not complete in the earlier base trade. It was extremely close to completion, but did not finish actually. So that was quite unfortunate, as Weilin is trying to spot out these armies, but finds the last base on the mainland for Warhead. So once it's found, I would have loved to see him go with his observers towards one of the islands and just figure out exactly what is going on. Interestingly enough, the Warp Prism has yet survived for Warhead, so it has the opportunity to still warp in more. As well as he has 1 Void Ray here towards the left base, actually able to shut down Weilin's Weilin's most recent expansion attempt here with his Void Ray. So 1 Void Ray, 1 Warp Prism, and whatever is on this island is left for Warhead.
Actually, that cancel brought Weilin down to only 300 minerals, which means he does not have enough money to remake that Nexus, so he needs to bring his probes back and start mining.
Yeah, 6 probes spread out across the map. Of course, he has to bring those back. The Void are actually going to come in here towards the main base from Weilin. Going to be able to take out some pylons here, I think, which is going to be good value, but cannot be too cocky with that one. Cannot lose it to these Stalkers. There's not no blink so far for Weilin, so that is a great opportunity for Weilin.
No, don't fight!
For the engagement though. Wow! Oh. He goes down. It was going to get flanked by the other army, so probably not the most terrible choice, but did not fare too well in the end. However, Weilin is really, he sees what he needs to do. The War Prism is completed here, and if it just channels his troops towards the island, can Warhead hold with only two Void Rays? I think
he can. Like if he focuses down the War Prism, because I mean I think it's armored, so it'll die extremely quickly, and then there's the cannons as well, so just having these 4 Stalkers, they are not going to be able to cut it. I don't know, like getting the Warp Prism, it gives him the option to be aggressive towards the island, but he should have spent that money, I feel, on, you know, getting another Nexus up and running. That's what he needs. He needs to, like, establish just an economy, because he has an army to defend it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Weilin is not really on a clock here. I mean, he theoretically could start mining, grab a couple of additional bases, and just wait 20 minutes. But
Yeah.
it looks like he wants to go for it. Channeling slowly with the Warp Prism here. The Void Rays are here, though, so he cannot go with only one Warp Prism.
Oh no! Needs to be really careful with those Void Rays. Warhead cannot be giving these away right now.
The sickest thing would be if Weilin hallucinates like 5 Warp Prisms. And then it's up to Warhead to find the real one. However, there are cannons here, so yeah, that is not going to work, sadly.
Yeah, true. The AI also auto-targets non-hallucinated units. But yeah, here we go, and a load of 4 Stalkers, but there's not enough money to warp anything in here. So yeah, this is going to be it, and the Void Rays, they're coming in there using that prismatic alignment, and we see they just melt anything armored on the ground. Now this Warp Prism is probably going to... No, it actually gets away, wow.
Yeah, it does. So yeah, it looks like this game is just going to stabilize here. Weilin is only on 100 minerals. He has 6 probes still left being spread out across the map, but it looks like they are at last being brought back to start long distance mining from the natural, and eventually is going to be able to bring up a second Nexi and start mining for real. But during that time, Warhead is going to be mining for quite a while. He has 3 cannons up already, and also has the mothership core about to complete with a couple of Void Rays as well. So this game is stabilizing, and while Weilin is, I mean, skyrocketing in supply, most of that is in Immortals, which are quite useless now, to be honest.
Yeah, you know, Immortals are pretty bad in this scenario. They don't shoot up. I mean, he still has a total of 14. That's a crazy ground army. It's impossible for Warhead, like in any circumstance, to ever be able to get an army off that island to, you know, combat that straight on. But, you know, just massing Void Rays is absolutely terrifying. You know, when you reach like the critical mass, you know, roughly 12 to 16, they just go absolutely ape shit. And he's even got +1
tactic.
Yeah, yeah, that's something you do. Like one player goes mass Void Ray, like off of 3 Stargates. One player goes mass Muta, and just all of these just really irritating unit compositions that you can't stop.
Definitely. Starting to go with air upgrades here as well. Probably a good choice, as, I mean, the win condition for Warhead here is basically get a scary enough air army, and then he's going to be in a good position.
Yeah.
So he has the Oracle as well. Interesting choice to produce that on the way here.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I wonder what he's going to be doing with that. Do you think he's going to like use it to maybe spot observers, or like send it to the mineral line and try to get off these probes? There's not enough money by far to build a Nexus, and there's enough money for one single Stalker warp in. Actually, he could fight this now, because I mean he's got what is that, 5 Void Rays? When he gets that 6th one with the +1 and prismatic alignment, he can kill all of these Stalkers, and then there's nothing to shoot up.
That would be pretty sick, actually, to go with the Void Rays, focus down these Stalkers, as you said. And wow, Weilin, he has been reacting so slow with his probes to pull them back and start mining once more. So he is going to be in quite a bad spot, to be honest, when it comes to being able to open some Stalkers again. The Stalkers for Weilin has good positioning, though, as he probably did spot the Oracle with his Observer, which is very good positioning here in Warhead's old main base. Yeah,
absolutely. Let's see here. We do have an Observer coming in here from our blue Protoss from Warhead, who's so valiantly hanging on. And yeah, he saw the Stalkers, so he's avoiding them. I actually really like that move. You know, spotting with the Observer, so he doesn't risk losing that Oracle, because when you're on one base, everything is just really expensive.
Yeah, this Oracle is gonna really matter what it's able to do. Fleet Beacon, fun enough, on the way for Warhead.
Oh, Mothership!
Sure
Mothership!
Carrier.
Mothership!
Ooh, Mothership would be cool too.
Cloaked Void Rays. Ooh, careful with that Oracle.
I mean, I was just thinking, in Terran versus Terran, air can be... I mean, air in Terran versus Protoss can be really scary, because you can like use Ravens to spot observers and snipe them with Vikings, and then go in with Cloaked Banshees. Could you do something similar here, maybe with like Cloaked Void Rays? You snipe the Observer with the cloak them with the Mothership. It would be crazy.
Oh yeah, like it would take so much micro, because you'd have to focus down the Observers with your Void Rays, at the same time as you're microing your mothership core, while making sure your Oracle doesn't get focused down as it's using Envision. It would be just like such a micro-intensive thing to do.
Would be quite sick.
Absolutely. How much APM do you think you need for that?
Probably show levels, so like 80. Nah, I'm just kidding.
Is that an insult or is it a compliment?
I'm not sure. No, I'll probably Elfie level APM, so like 90.
Does Elfie play that slow?
I know he plays slow, probably not that slow.
I thought Elfie was a 200 APM sort of guy. Okay, look.
He was known for playing quite slow.
Okay, so the Oracle came right in and it used Pulsar Beam, but it didn't have enough energy for even one tick. So it just came in there, activated it, and then it flew away.
Wow. Reminds me of my sex life, Noah. Just kidding.
Well played, Mr. Bad Example. You are truly a bad example.
Thank you, Mr. Collard.
I like when you call me that.
So, when is this next site gonna be coming down? 3 probes mining extremely bravely here. Or 4 probes, actually. Where is the 4th one?
It's gonna be, there's gonna be a new Nexus at the same time as I release my new motion picture. 3 probes, 1 mineral patch.
Ooh, sounds good.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Now, there's one single Tempest out here for Warhead.
Yeah?
And another War Prism. He does have this one here to the far left. He's sort of forgotten this. And Weilin has actually positioned his observers like to the south and north of the island there. I wonder what Warhead is going to be doing now. He's got... Ooh! He's evacuating a probe there to take this space. I like this. I like this a lot.
Yeah, that's quite smart actually. He wants to go for another base here. He has been backing up a lot of minerals. Of course, this army is going to be really gas heavy, so with the minerals, you might as well spend them on a Nexus, some pylons and some cannons. Just like if you lose it, it's not the end of the world, because what is limiting you is really the gas when it comes to such an expensive air army.
Oh no! Weilin decided to warp in 2 more Stalkers instead of getting a Nexus.
Oh, and a third
3 more Stalkers. Yeah, okay. So he's down. He's down. Back again to being very, very poor in the mineral bank. I mean, look at this. Warhead even going ahead and taking another Nexus. I really like this. He's slowly been pulling his way back into the game. Now, even adding 4 more gateways. Warhead's economy is actually really good in comparison to his opponents.
I mean, Weilin should probably realize what is going on here. He should probably realize that, yes, this is going to be an air army from Warhead. So, moving out with the Immortals on his side, that's to just grab vision on the bases on the mainland, I think would be quite a good idea, because he would be able to thwart any expansion attempts, but here they are, as you stated, 2 more Nexi going down for Warhead. This is going to up the gas income by a lot, and it's going to be able to allow him to continuously produce more air units, and if Warhead gets maxed with this composition, it's, yeah, Weilin's going to have a bad time.
Absolutely. Now, I mean, there's enough here in the air to kill all of these Stalkers and the Sentry, and that leaves him with a bunch of Immortals, a couple of Zealots, and yeah, that's about it. That's actually the only army here for Weilin, and Warhead's army is actually looking mighty scary here. It's not even that big, but it's absolutely something that I don't think Weilin can take on.
Yeah, and sounds good there. The Observer, one of the Observers from Weilin was actually sniped. No, it has changed directions here. So, okay, so one of these Observer has been pulled back to the main army. Maybe he fears a Dark Templar or something along those lines, you never know. But here comes the Immortal March. Just look at those. Looking quite scary here as 10 Immortals make their way across to the eastern side of the map, and this is going to be a couple of dead next, I think.
Yeah, they're like fat dragoons without the bad AI. Oh no, they actually they turned back there for a second.
Speaking of bad AI.
Yeah. Weilin being a bit indecisive, but yeah, here we go. +2 Immortals, pretty good versus buildings.
Yeah,
as we can see.
Damage per shot. So.
Oh, but here come the Void Rays! Prismatic alignment has been... Okay, he gets 1. I think he can kill all of these, actually. Oh my god, look at that's disgusting. That damage is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, Void Rays damage versus armored units. I mean, he just has to make sure not to get baited here, though, because there is Stalker armor for Weilin. There's not a blink, but is this going to be the engagement here? Is Warhead going to have the presence of mind to pull out? I think he is.
Yeah, he needs to get out there, because without Prismatic alignment, he cannot fight these Stalkers, because remember, they are still upgraded, and here we have a couple of warpers here happening on the ground here. The Tempest... Yeah, here we go.
Misses the force field though. It's not even force field. No mothership even close to be able to use that photon overcharge. But these Voiders are gonna go down. So this base is gonna go down, and Warhead is gonna be sent back to the Stone Age once more.
Yeah, pretty much. Here we go. Prismatic alignment was used. He did get a couple of those Stalkers, but I don't think this Tempest is going to be able to kill all of these quick enough. One more Voider does come in here, and if he uses Prismatic alignment and focuses correctly, he can kill them. But no, he decides to pull out, and once again, Warhead is reduced to one base. Okay, he picks off that one more Stalker, and then he decides to go.
This is a good position almost though, as the sentry tickles that Void Ray to death, and that means Weilin is back on one Tempest here with a carrier actually in production here, so Warhead is not giving up at all. But this base is actually running quite low on minerals, so not a great spot here.
No. So, good choice there from Weilin to move out. But here we have the Oracle coming in again, and he's actually killing all the probes here of his opponent. This is going to be really bad for him, because that means he'll have to remake them.
Ooh, yeah, this is a good move for Warhead. I mean, if he snipes the probes and there is no additional, if he snipes all the probes and I mean, Weilin has not that many minerals. One probe and one in production, so. Yeah,
that's what he has. He needs to keep his army back now, but I mean, he lost most of his anti, and with one Tempest and one Carrier, can absolutely destroy this. Like Warhead was a little clumsy there with the engagement, you know, when he had the Void Rays, because he got baited into those Stalkers. But now once again, Weilin's sloppiness with keeping an eye on his probes, you know, maintaining a good probe count, has pretty much cost him the game now, and he's even going to lose.
Oracle snipes the. Ooh, that was actually a really good move. He's able to snipe the full energy sentry, so it's not going to be any more hallucinated phoenixes to scout. It's not going to be any more guardian shields. Not that they matter a lot in this kind of engagement, but still a good job to snipe the sentry and then just get out immediately. The whole anti-air for Weilin right now is 2 Stalkers and nothing more. So I definitely think that Warhead can march across the map. This carrier could probably take them on by him or herself. I'm not actually sure what gender that carrier is.
I think a carrier is like a female voice, or is it?
I think so too. I know that the campaign version of the carrier is a girl.
Yeah, that's Selendis.
Yeah,
the Executor. Now we have this ground army here. What's that? 3 Stalkers and 2 Zealots. They cannot fight these Immortals still. But Weilin is actually going to be looking to come into the main here and see if something's going on. But no, he's going to kill these ground units probably, unless Warhead decides to pick up. Weilin just spreading out his Immortals like he should have done earlier.
And finally, for the first time in the game, the Warhead is actually ahead in supply.
That is actually true. This is the first time he's ahead in supply.
I think so. The first time in 45 minutes, he's ahead. And these Immortals are going to go down as they are actually firing at these Zealots. And Immortals with a slow attack speed and low damage towards light is going to be getting quite wrecked by these Zealots, to be honest.
Yeah, so, okay, look at this composition. 1 Tempest, 1 Void Ray, 1 Carrier, 2 War Prisms, 2 Zealots, and 1 Stalker.
I think there's an Oracle still somewhere.
Oh, the Oracle is still up?
No, it is not. It's my bad.
Okay, he lost it.
There's actually 3 War Prisms, by the way, so...
Oh yeah, there's one on the far left.
That's probably... I'm not sure if I've ever seen that many War Prisms in a game.
I make a lot of War Prisms when I play, so I've seen many War Prisms in my time.
Yeah, but 2 is pretty standard. But I've pretty much always never seen 3. But
I've seen a game with Rain where you had 3 real ones and 2 hallucinated ones. That must have been a pain to deal with.
Yeah, the multitask and the APM that was required to hold that would be quite bad.
Especially if you're Terran. It must be really difficult to you have 3 War Prisms, you know, active, and they just warp in 4 Zealots at each War Prism. In the middle of your production line. That must be really difficult to deal with.
Yeah, but on the other hand, that is what your protos have to deal with in every PvT, right?
Oh yeah.
With the medevacs.
Yeah, that's true. Terran drops really strong actually. As long as your Terran opponent is good multitasking, if you're playing Polt, who has brilliant multitasking, that's definitely gonna be a pain.
Yeah, a friend of mine actually was playing against, I think it was some Korean Terran, Quantic Center, I believe it was, at DreamHack Stockholm, and he was playing Zerg against Terran, and Center played this really heavy multitasking drop style. And after the game, I asked how did it go? And his only comment was, well, I've never felt the need for a third arm that much.
I can definitely relate. Having played some pretty good players when I've been laddering at like sometimes if I've been doing good, you know, getting decent MMR. By the way, look at this, the way that Warhead is mining. So he's dropping down probes, letting them mine minerals, and then he's picking them up and transferring them. This is probably the slowest way to long distance mine ever.
So that's why it has three war prisms.
No, wait. Do you know what would be slower?
Doing this with a Nidus.
Yeah. No. Or maybe I don't know. Or like with overlords maybe.
Oh, that would be pretty slow.
I don't know. Like yeah, slow overlords. Like you research drop, but you didn't research speed.
And it's like a base rate scenario, so you don't have enough time to research speed.
Yeah.
So it's like.
So you're carrying like 24 drones in slow overlords, and your opponent has 1 Phoenix.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are right now witnessing Warhead long distance mining the natural base, his old natural base from his island, and eventually he's going to get enough resources to build a nexus that he does not need to finish off his opponent, because he could just aim move across the map and win the game right now, as Weilin is just long distance mining with these like 7 probes, I think it is, 8 probes.
Yeah, barely anything.
I mean, if he would have decided to rebuild the Nexus instead of warping in those 3 Stalkers way back, I think this game would have been over a lot quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that choice to get those 3 extra Stalkers, they don't even matter that much. I mean, with versus Void Rays anyway, you sort of want to be careful around them, so it's better to just go for the safer bet, get that expansion up, get the economy, and you know, just pull yourself back in that way. But now Warhead with his very interesting and funny long distance. I really like it. It's just like really cute. It's really cute, and it looks a bit weird, but it's cute.
It's like you.
I'm weird but cute.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're weird, but you look cute.
You're very strange, but you're also very handsome. You should be called Mr. Handsome, I think.
It warms my heart to hear that. Anyway, 400 minerals in for Warhead.
Finally!
Will we now finally see the next site, or will he spend this on a couple of gates?
I would cry. Yeah, I would cry if he were like, okay, I'm gonna warp in 4 zealots. Imagine like you do that out of reflex because you see your opponent moving out, and then you're like, oh, damn, like hit yourself in the face.
Yeah, that was not what I was supposed to do.
No, I've done that so many times.
24 probes though, so he's gonna be able to saturate this base very quickly.
Yeah. Now he's using the double wall prism, Airbus. His opponent will have enough money for a Nexus very shortly, and yeah, Weilin does see this because his observer is actually sitting right next to that carrier.
Yep.
Oh, this mining is great.
The observer for Warhead is on Weilin's island, funnily enough.
Huh?
Might not be the most brilliant positioning of that, but at least he knows Weilin is not taking an island of himself.
Yeah, do you think he's like contemplating like should I maybe expand here, and he's just like looking sometimes at the island trying to make a decision?
Yeah, perhaps. Who knows? But there is actually a Nexus for Weilin.
Finally.
So enough long distance mining for now. Let's see now that Warhead is actually going to be mining significantly faster with 24 probes to 8, and you all know 24 is a bit more than 8.
Yeah. In most scenarios, it is. Yes.
Yeah, I would definitely agree.
Or like maybe, I think 8 carriers beat 24 stalkers. So 8 is better than 24 in that circumstance. I don't even think that analogy makes any sense. But here we have
Immortals.
You know what would be so bold? Like he goes in, kills the Nexus, and then just goes home with whatever survives.
And then forces the game to go for another 15 minutes. But here we go, the Immortals. I'm not sure if they are going to want it to run away. It does not look like it. He just wants to go for the Nexus. He's right taking it. Will it be enough? This is going to be extremely close. And ladies and gentlemen, the probes are being pulled.
Oh, he's doing it!
Go down. It is! Wow! These Immortals are really doing work for themselves. Weilin is using, like, he's going to lose all of his Immortals, but it's definitely going to be worth it as they are quite worth this in this situation. And is this going to force Warhead to long distance mine with a Warp Prism for another 10 minutes?
Yeah. He's actually already picking up probes right now. I feel so sorry for him, working so hard to get that Nexus up. And then Weilin just pulls...
You realize what's going on?
Oh,
he's going home with these Immortals. He's baiting the carrier and the Void Ray towards his base, as well as the Tempest, and he only has 3 Stalkers to defend. This might be a bit of a tactical misplay from Weilin to retreat with these Immortals, as he's just baiting in Warhead. Will this be the game?
Oh, actually, I think so. I think so. I've never seen anyone to lose to one of each Protoss air unit. This is a first. This is definitely a first.
Will we see the engagement though here? I think if Warhead goes for it, he can have it. Yes, there we go. The Void Ray goes in with the prismatic alignment, and these Stalkers are just melting through the Interceptors. Great pullback micro on the Void Ray, and this is probably going to be enough. I think Warhead is going to be taking this game. The last Stalkers go down, and after an amazing series, I think this is going to be GG from Weilin.
Yeah, absolutely. There we go. So, yeah, guys. So that wraps that up. And wow, that I don't know what to say.
The most strange and weird things I've seen since I ventured to the dark side of 4chan.
Yes, absolutely one of the most peculiar games I've seen. I think the best part was definitely that long-distance mining with the War
Through the
Prism.
island.
Yeah.
Probably the first and last time I'm gonna see that.
Yeah, most likely. But yeah, guys, so that's gonna wrap it up. I'm Tenchi.
Mr. Bad Example.
Yeah, so thank you very much and good night.